I want you to see this because I am one person who is in the fasting state, who despises feeling hunger, has learned to change her relationship with food and just chill out once I'm satiated and not overstuff myself every single time. I love partying with food, but if we're in a physical challenge right now, then we gotta rein it in at some point. And I'm here to tell you that you absolutely can. And I know it feels discouraging, but I'm not asking you to do this forever. I'm just asking you to do this to try. Just try, okay? And I'm here to help you do that. Welcome to your fasting guide part 3. This video is going to be especially helpful for beginners of fasting, and especially the fasting mimicking diet, either the Prolon version, but especially the DIY versions. The fasting mimicking diet mimics a true fast, whereas intermittent fasting, where we're only fasting for, let's say, 8 to 10, 12, 16 hours a day, according to Dr. Walter Longo, who is a world-leading expert in longevity and fasting, he says that's not actually putting us into a true fasting state. That normally takes 24 to 48 hours to happen. So what is a fast? What is a fasting state? Technically, what that means is our body is no longer burning glucose for energy, which is its preferred energy source. So because we are not eating an abundance of food that is going to turn into glycogen in our body and powering our cells with that kind of gas, it's going to burn through the glucose stores, and then the body's searching for another energy source. Where does it go? It goes towards our visceral fat. Visceral fat is the fat that surrounds our organs, typically our midsection, and that is the kind of fat that we actually want to get really down, maybe ideally at a 0, because we've got the subcutaneous fat that surrounds our whole body, even our heads. The interesting thing is, the higher the visceral fat we have, the higher our chances of developing chronic diseases, like type 2 diabetes, like cancers, like heart disease. So that's no bueno, right? So we want to minimize that visceral fat. So the body's searching for glucose, it's searching for an energy source, doesn't have the glucose, it's targeting that visceral fat, it gets processed through our livers, it pumps out ketone bodies, that goes throughout our bloodstream, and that's what the body is primarily using for energy in a fasting state. Why would anybody want to do this? Because there are crazy mad benefits to it. Not only are we burning that visceral fat away, which many of us probably have an excess of, we look younger, in the fasting state, our bodies are naturally targeting damaged cell parts and munching away at them. We are also developing our own brand new stem cells. I just did a Google search. How much is it for stem cell therapy? Well, it varies, of course. It depends on where you're getting it, what you need it for, how much you need. But on average, it's $5,000 to $50,000 American dollars for stem cell therapy. This is not sponsored by Prolon, but the Prolon kit for one round is under $200. And this is backed by more than $33 million of research, more than 25 years of research. In the time that it's been in market, many people have seen phenomenal results. They're treating very serious issues like heart disease, cancers, Alzheimer's, type 2 diabetes with success. So if you or a loved one is suffering from any of those things, and that's why you're watching this video, I do highly recommend you look into Prolon and actually try it. Now, the most important thing though is the refeeding and breaking your fast. So just because you do the 5-day kit from Prolon, don't expect that all of your problems will magically disappear. That is part 1 of the magic and part 1 of the work. Part 2 of the work spans much longer. You got a lot more days to delve into and swim around in the magic that is refeeding and rejuvenation and rebuilding and basically activating those brand new stem cells that you have created in the fasting state to then get to work. And stem cell experts will describe stem cells as our natural healing system. So every time we cut ourselves, stem cells go to that place and they start doing their thing. Your natural stem cells that belong to you, not someone else's stem cells injected into you. What do you think is going to produce a better outcome for your body? Someone else's stem cells or your own? Let's dive into the tips and the guidelines for a fast. Now, before the fast, how to get into the fast. Don't feed the face. Don't pig out. Let's be real here. The scariest thing about fasting is the hunger that we have to suffer through, right? And nobody wants to suffer. So the day before, you're going to be very tempted to pig out, and just feed the face with all the greasiest, calorically rich foods that are your favorites. If you do that, so be it. You're not going to have as good as a fast, but it's not going to diminish all of the benefits that you're going to reap. But the high recommendation is don't do that. Just eat normally, eat as you regularly would, but really try your best not to pig out. Now, I have fallen into this trap many times because every single time I'm about to do this fast, I get scared. I get really nervous because that's just who I am, and I don't want to feel hunger. I don't like feeling hunger. So I tend to really pig out. I tend to eat and eat and eat and continue to eat even though I'm not hungry. And this fast has changed my relationship with food. After doing it multiple rounds, I can now, for possibly the first time in my life, just sit with my satiation. And as soon as I'm satiated, I can actually stop eating. Like, what? I've never really had that practice, that habit, or even that awareness before where I just stopped eating. If there's food in my face, I'm just gonna eat it and I'm gonna feel full, and I'm so used to feeling that way that everything's normal, right? But now I can just sit and feel full and appreciate the fullness and stop eating. And the thing that I have to remind myself constantly is that I will eat again. Try to cut back on your caffeine intake leading up to the fast, and also all of your sugary treats and beverages. So during the fast, you are going to limit sugar almost entirely. So the only sugar that you're going to be getting is the natural sugar that's in food. So yeah. Prolon, there's no coffee in their kit. And Longo has recommended that we do not consume any coffee during a fast. There might be some competing evidence against that. Caffeine may actually increase the number of ketone bodies, so maybe that is a good thing. So experiment with yourself, but people who drink a lot of coffee, people who have a lot of sugary drinks, they tend to develop headaches during the fast. So you might want to help yourself, help your future self, and cut back just for a little while so your fasting week is going to be a lot more pleasurable. Now, Prolon will say if you must have coffee, they have their guidelines. 8 ounces of fluid black coffee, no sugar, no cream, no milk, no anything. Or 2 cups of black tea, so that's 16 ounces of black tea. Again, no sugar, no cream, no milk, no anything. You can also have green tea, but no matcha green tea because matcha is powerful. It might take you out of the fasting state. Herbal teas are unlimited. Water is unlimited. We love sparkling waters with no added sugars and just hot teas. Now, I have experimented drinking coffee and not drinking coffee. Some rounds, it seems great. Some rounds, it seems better to have coffee. So I don't know, you're gonna have to experiment with yourself. Take copious amounts of notes. They will help you in the future. If you are doing the DIY version and you're going to be doing a fresh food fast, then I encourage you to get your avocados a few days ahead of time so they are nice and ripe and ready for you on day 1. During the fast, let's dive right into the meat of it, shall we? It's all about managing this hunger, right? So number 1 tip is pace out your food. Pace it out. Let's say you get up at 6, 7 in the morning, you're having your breakfast. A few hours later, you're having your lunch. A couple hours later, you're having your snack. And then another few hours later, you're having your dinner. That way, every 2-3 hours, maybe every 3-4 hours, you are consuming some energy. So there is a constant flow of at least some energy and some calories coming into the system, nourishing your body. Second tip about managing the hunger, get as much sleep and rest as you possibly can. This goes on a day-to-day basis, even when you're not fasting. When we are sleep deprived, we are hungry. We are hungry. And we actually crave higher calorie dense foods, more richer foods. So if you don't get a lot of sleep and you get up and during the day you're like, I really feel like a bucket of fried chicken today, I wonder why. It's probably because you're sleep deprived. That could be one of the reasons. So really do yourself a favor to really control and manage your hunger well by getting a good night's rest. The cool thing is that your body is going through so much work, you might be really tired. And so you might actually hit the sack a lot earlier than you normally do. And you might sleep like a baby. Don't exercise. When you do a hard workout, you're expending calories. We are trying to preserve calories. We are trying to allow that energy that we do have to do its work. The most exciting work really is the work of autophagy, where damaged cell parts are being eaten by the undamaged cell parts. Why doesn't the cell eat healthy cell parts instead of the damaged cell parts? Because it's so intelligent, because it is an optimizing machine, yo. So do your body a favor and just chill out, Don't exercise like crazy. Don't do HIIT workouts. Don't go to hot yoga. Don't do 18 rounds of golf. Go for a walk. Do a light yoga. Do very lightweight training if you have to do something. Now, if you're a fasting pro and you still work out and you're fine, then you're fine. But this, again, video is more so targeted to the beginners, like moi. Even though I've done this 14 times now, I still very much feel like a noob. Next. Stock up on herbal teas and sparkling waters. So herbal teas, your favorites, do your thing. Sparkling waters are a godsend. Just make sure that there's no added sugar in it, okay? So it might say natural flavor on it. It doesn't say sugar, so that is a really good bet. I like the sparkling waters. I like that added flavor. I like the effervescence, and the effervescence just makes me feel like my belly is more full. I like that, it helps. Keep busy, okay? So if you don't have a lot going on in your life right now, then good for you. Enjoy all that space and time you got, but make sure that you are keeping busy, okay? Like start a task, start a project, and just get going. You don't want to be sitting around and just like thinking about food constantly. Okay, when you're keeping busy, it's a nice distraction and it will help you get through the days. How to build your DIY menu. Now, I like Chronometer, but of course there are some other options. But let's say you've got your day 1 and then you've got your days 2 to 5 and you've got your macros down perfect. The macros are in the description. Let's say you put in all your food in Chronometer, all of the macros look absolutely beautiful, and then you check back a few months later and all of a sudden the macros are off. Well, that's because these databases are updated every once in a while. I don't know the cadence or the frequency of that, but just know that those little variances are very likely not going to affect your fast. You are still going to get into the fasting state if your macros were tight, and you are going to stay in the fasting state.